Appreciate you being here. Today we're going to continue on with Old Man Treads Lightly, the second half of this chapter. So let's start. Oh, see, I now should have gotten ready. There was no warning save the bellowing shout. Hardly had the word rumble escaped Stubbs' lips, and his wallopers leapt to the attack. Soleman expected this and was ready. Balanced and centered, he ducked the first blow and grabbed the outstretched arm. Turning, he flung the ruffian over his shoulders, square into the midsection of another bruiser, sending both reeling. Flats had maneuvered himself between two who were figuring on pinioning his arms and pummeling him. Flats was not a man to allow himself to be trapped without reason. Being between the two, he was making power punches from a short distance, while the two men were having to back up to make a long-arm strike. Soleman and Flats were agile and versatile in defense and attack, and their opponents' tempers were beginning to flare. Both men were having an almost ridiculously easy time avoiding the lumbering heavyweights. With deft skill, Soleman was maneuvering himself in such a manner that his opponents missed him and struck each other with sledgehammer blows. Flats was content to get inside, deliver a staggering uppercut, then rotate out of harm's way. The hordes of gangland watching were both astonished and irritated, watching some of gangland's most vicious hand-to-hand fighters being soundly thrashed. One of the few of the watchers not upset was Stubbs. He was getting the information he had set this up to acquire. How did Soleman and Flats handle themselves in combat situations? He wrote his thoughts on a pad. Swift inside attacks, avoidance, rotate and strike. Calm and cool, they will tire a person out, then use their strength against them. Strong and intelligent, they use as little strength as necessary to ensure reserves. Note upon note, he learned how to deal with the two formidable warriors. His own battlers were tiring. Thinking they had all the trumps in their hands, they had sought to make quick work in the fray. Now they were sluggish and leaded-footed. Their blows were coming from arms hanging at their sides. Soleman and Flats began tripping the aggressors, and as they fell, they remained on the cement floor, either stunned or too tired to continue. The crowd around the ring was angry, feeling in some way they had been cheated. The sight of the huge muscular men being thrashed by men who were not muscular, not tall, and not aggressive was an insult. They rose to attack in a larger group. Soleman and Flats realized as the crowd surged the ring that this might be the final round. The gangster horde leapt off the bleachers at a run, only to be stopped by a line of gunfire from above. "Get back!" roared Stubbs. "The rules were announced at the beginning. You'll agree that come what may, there would be no interference." Soleman, Flats, I congratulate you on a well-earned win. You're free to leave unmolested. The two champions bowed. "And your hostages?" Soleman asked gruffly. He wasn't convinced that Stubbs would have taken one, considering the consequences should police take an interest. Stubbs waved his hand around the building. "Well, there isn't one, but you're free to search if you wish. It was simply the necessary bait to bring you here." Flats was unsure what Soleman intended to do. Would he take Stubbs' word or perform a search? Soleman saluted Stubbs, took Flats by the arm, and departed. When they entered the midnight stiletto, the engine roared into life. Flats was upset. How could you trust them? Soleman's jaw was clenched. He circled it to a blocked alley and backed the stiletto in. "We're going back to make sure." Relief flowed through Flats as they wound their way back to the warehouse, climbed the fire escape, and found a door Flats could open with ease. Quiet as possible, they traversed the catwalk. The gangsters were filing out and grumbling loudly. Stubbs had descended and was paying off the men. Despite the fact that they had failed, he never intended to release them. This was a test of their abilities, put to the ultimate level. They were trained to a new skill level and would relish a second encounter. They knew what they had to meet now, and next time they would be ready for the encounter. Soleman signaled for Flats to stand guard. Sliding down a pipe, he dropped to the level Stubbs had used to oversee the fight. A locked door was easily dealt with. Soleman used a small flashlight that was surprisingly bright for its size. Shining the light through an old-style keyhole, he used a pen-sized telescope to peer into the room. Seated in the back was a shrouded figure. They appeared to be frightened if the shaking of the thin material of the shroud was any indication. Under the chair was a box. What the box contained was unknown, but probably an explosive of some sort. From his back pocket, he pulled out a rectangular mirror and an extension probe. Attaching a thread to the top of the mirror, he pushed it through with the probe. Pulling on the thread, the mirror rose and reflected the opposite side of the door. A wire was attached to the door handle that went upwards, across the ceiling, and down to the chair. Since the line was taut, it was sure bet that if the door was open, the line would pull on the box and either release a catch or drop the box on the floor, shattering some diabolical instrument inside. Bringing the extender back out, he stepped on the thin metal and, using the pair of pliers, sharpened the end. After bending the key the end to the length that would extend from the handle to the line, he pushed it through the keyhole and cut the line. Unsure if the trap was immediate and if it still was active, he thrust open the door and rushed in. Tripping over a black fishing line, he fell, rolled, and stood, only to see a steel door slide swiftly across the open doorway. His first concern was for the hostage, and he snatched the material away. The dummy seated in the chair had a grinning face. A voice came over the speaker above the door. "Well, I was unsure if you would take my word. Had you done so, you would have returned home unharmed. Put this little trap up just in case you returned. I checked around, and your partner has returned to the vehicle to wait your return. You will have an exceptionally long wait. He also will not be able to find you since the metal slid across the door fits flush with the rest of the wall, rendering the opening invisible. I regret that we will have no further contact. You were a worthy adversary, and I would have enjoyed our game of chess. Goodbye. The room is now hermetically sealed, and you have at most a day or two remaining." Well, that's where we're going to stop for this chapter and work our way to the next part of it. So we'll do that one next couple of days. So I look forward to seeing you. Be good and be good to yourself. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.